Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing another revamped version of a tumbler that I absolutely enjoy doing every single summer. This is another big seller in my shop every single year, sometimes even during Christmas. As always, I will make sure to put everything into the description box below so that way you guys can find it if you would like to. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. So today I'm working on a 20-ounce skinny that I purchased through the Stainless Depot. I prepped that and I primed it white. The colors of glitter that I am using today, I'm using from my glitter shop, socglitters.com, but please feel free to use glitters you already have on hand for this project. I'm going to be using Sapphire, which is a navy, Ice, which is a translucent blue. I'm also going to be using Taffy, which is a translucent hot pink. I'm going to be using Popsicle, which is another translucent glitter, and that is a neon orange. Lemon, which is a translucent neon yellow, and Lime, which is another translucent neon green. And I will also be using a mix of holographic and dark black glitter, which is called Black Diamond, as well from my shop. I kind of like to prep everything, have it all ready to go. I already have my epoxy all mixed up. It's just sitting there and waiting. I like to use Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast for my projects. But please, again, feel free to use whatever type of epoxy you enjoy using. Now, there would be no sunsets without stars, so at the end I'll show you guys. I'm going to use Alibi from Mr. Nola's Glitter for the stars on my tumbler as well, which I'll show you guys how I do that here in a second. Now, I like to apply my glitters with the epoxy method. So I'm going to add a strip of epoxy onto the front. I'm going to flip it, do another little strip on the back because I just want just a little bit more. So that way those glitters kind of form together just a little bit better when I go to do the ombre. You want them almost kind of lightly mixed. You don't want to add too much epoxy, just enough to really push it around your tumbler and make sure that you don't have to struggle to get your epoxy on. Now that my epoxy is applied, we are going to start at the bottom of the tumbler and work our way up. So I will be starting with Black Diamond and I will be making my way down the line of glitters there. So the first thing you want to do is you just want to hold your tumbler at a 45-degree angle. You want to hit up your bottom really good. And then right at that edge of the bottom of the tumbler, you just want to let that black kind of just fall down your tumbler. Every layer up until the pink is going to be about 1 inch wide, which I will show you guys better here in a second because I know it's hard enough doing a two-tone ombre, let alone a 7-tone ombre. All right, now that I'm done applying Black Diamond there, I'm going to set that off to the side and we are going to apply Lime. Now I'm going to do every single layer the same exact way. I'm going to take my next coordinating color. I'm going to bring it up into the color that I just did, just a little bit, just kind of blend it together. And then I'm going to make its little stripe around the center there where it needs to be. Now you don't want to apply too much this round. You just want to lightly dust it this round and then you can come back through and really load it up once you have all your glitters down. So again, I'm going to take my yellow, do the same thing where I blend it up into the green, and then I'm just going to get its little section going there, and then we'll move on to the orange. Now, I did not want to speed this process up. I wanted you guys to see exactly how long it took me to do this, and it's very simple to do. I didn't want to water this section down at all because this is the main focus of these tumblers is the sunset part. So again, we're going to take our orange, do the same thing, blend it up into the yellow, bring it back down a little bit into its own space, move that off to the side. Now the pink here, I like to do a bigger section. So I'm going to bring that pink down into the orange a little bit. And I'm actually going to make this section of pink probably about 1.5 inches, if not almost 2 inches wide, because we still have 2 more colors we have to do. So you have to leave enough space for those, but those aren't going to be too big at all. Now that I'm done with my pink section, I'm going to move on to ice. And when I apply ice, I don't do a very big section of this at all. I probably do about 1/2 inch of ice, and then the rest of it will be that sapphire at the top. Now, like I said earlier, the main thing to this is you Want to make sure you apply just a little bit more epoxy than you're used to. You don't, I think some of you guys like to do just like 1 ml of epoxy when you go to do these, but I like to add just a little bit more so that way these glitters have space to kind of flow together and blend even more when I apply them. And also just doing a very light coating of the glitter the first round, like I said. And if you need to, coming back through, and you can always add just a touch more before you let that hang dry or spin on your turner if you need to. All right, now we're gonna move on to that sapphire. Now this time I'm just gonna kind of tilt my tumbler down because I don't need to tilt it up. And I'm just gonna bring it up to that rim and let it fall down into my ice. All right, now that my sapphire is applied, we need to add our little stars at the top. Now, if you find your stars just aren't sticking to what you've just done, it's okay. When you go to apply this second coat of epoxy over this glitter, you can actually apply your stars then if you need to. All right, so I'm just gonna take this pretty silver mix and I'm gonna take it. Here we go. Yeah, see, I just like to kind of mix it up with my finger and I just like to get a dab. I don't like the bigger chunks so much. I just like the littler pieces more than the bigger stuff. I do put a couple bigger pieces in there, but I just like to take it and run my finger along in there until I get all those little pieces and I just sprinkle it right along the rim and kind of let it fall down into the ice and taffy a little bit as well because you can't have a sunset without stars. Now, typically, if I need to, I will come back through and add just a little bit more glitter if I think it's needed, but I didn't think it was needed for this. I think I really like how everything blended together, and I think I got really good coverage this round. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let that turn on my turner for about 4 to 8 hours because like I said, I added just a little bit more epoxy than usual. So that's why I'm gonna let that turn on my turner. So now it is ready for its second coat of epoxy to make it nice and smooth. I went outside and I gave it a nice coating of my 2x Ultra Sealer by Rust-Oleum before I apply my epoxy. I like to do this just because sometimes those glitters have a tendency to want to wick away your epoxy when you apply it to this layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and load up my glitter, rub it down really well, make sure everything's nice and covered. I'm gonna hit it up with my torch really well. Then I'm gonna let that spin overnight before I add any type of decals. Before we apply our decal, you want to make sure you sand it down really well. Make sure you get down any little lumps that might be on there. You want to come through, clean your rim really well, sand around the edges. I like to do this between every single coat of epoxy. It just really helps out with the end process so that way you don't have to do too much whenever you are all done. So I'm going to go ahead and rough this up a little bit and then we're going to apply our decal. Now my decal, I just did a simple Google search for palm trees. I'll see if I can find the actual image that I had gotten because this was so long ago, and I'll make sure to put it into the description below so that way you guys can use this decal too. But for my decal, I really like to try to find stuff that looks more natural. I don't like too of a cartoony type tree. I like mine to look as realistic as possible. So like I said, I'll make sure to try to actually find that image and have it available for you guys. Now I am using a screw top lid, and you always want to make sure that if it's a screw top lid that you put your lid on so you know where the front is. It's very helpful. So now we're just going to take our decal and apply it. Now let's say you're applying this to a curvy tumbler. What I like to do is I will come through and I will make slits into every single one of those fronds, and I'll actually split it down the middle, and it really helps out curving onto those curvy tumblers if you need to apply it to one of those instead of a straight tumbler here. Now, after I have my decal applied, I do, if I add a name to it, because I like to use a holographic vinyl for that, I make sure to put another coat of epoxy over top of this because those vinyls will, or those holographic vinyls will definitely show up any little creases if you put the name over top of this, because I like to add mine kind of over the trees just a little bit. So you want to make sure you apply another coat of epoxy, add your name, and then 2 more finishing coats of epoxy, and she is good to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys enjoyed my little revamped version of one of my favorite tumblers I like to do in the summertime. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.